Hello, Christopher and Ivon, Ruben Chavez, Too Strong Mortgage. Let me first start off by saying congratulations. You guys are doing phenomenal. I can't believe how much money you guys saved up for being such a young couple. On top of that, Yvonne, you just graduated from ASU. I didn't see any school loans on your credit report. You guys are knocking it out of the park. Congratulations. So this video, the reason for this video though is I want to break down the numbers for the mortgages and I want to explain everything to you. Most of the time, nobody understands what closing costs are. They don't know why people are paying for closing costs or why it's so expensive. They don't understand the FHA mortgage loan. I want to break it all down to you for this in this video, so you guys know everything that I know essentially, and any other questions you have after this video, you can bring to my attention, and we can go over that as well. So, without further ado, when you use the bank numbers, a lot of times it gets really confusing. You got to go to box A over to box C, subtract from box F. I'm trying to make it a little easier. So I got this form right here, and you got mortgage loan breakdown, okay? And it's going to go break down everything with your loan. This is page 1. But first I'd like to do is go over page 2 with you, closing costs, okay? And I'm not sure how much you guys know, but closing costs, basically everybody's got to get paid. And there's so many hands in the bucket, and it ends up being an extremely large amount. Now, buyers don't always have to pay for all the closing costs. Sometimes if the seller is desperate to sell, sometimes the seller will pay for closing costs or some of closing costs to help close that loan so they can sell. Doesn't happen all the time. I will say I know your realtor Hector is one of the best, to be frank. I've been working with him for years, and he does very well for himself with negotiating with his clients. However, you can only do so much if it's a beautiful home, you have multiple offers, and the seller is like, I don't want to do it. So let's get you prepared for closing costs, and then we'll talk about down payment, and then we'll talk about mortgage payment. So, closing costs. Again, everybody's got to get paid, and we're going to go through how it works. Now, I cannot estimate completely and tell you the exact dollar amount for closing costs. It changes. So even until the end, we're not going to have a good idea. So what I decided to do is overestimate what I think the closing costs are going to be. We're going to overestimate it so you're prepared for X, and then hopefully it ends up being Y, which could be less than X. All right. So first, the reason why most realtors use me is because I'm very inexpensive. I don't charge any fees up front. There's no upfront fees. I'm kind of like a discount brokerage. The interest rate that I'm quoting you, which is right now it's 6.125. That's a little bit higher than what I could technically get you today. I can get you a little bit better than that today, but the market has been very volatile. It's been going up and down by a quarter. So I want to try not to overpromise because tomorrow the rates can change and I could be wrong. So we're going to at least be a little bit more conservative so that I don't overpromise and I hopefully overdeliver. Okay, so right now the interest rate of 6.125 isn't going to cost you anything as of today. The third-party processing company, we send our files to a third-party processing company. They process your loan. They charge $9.95. Has nothing to do with me. As a matter of fact, not one single cent of this goes to me. It's all from somebody else. Appraisal. I think it's 700 will be good enough. It could be as low as 650. But I think we'll estimate 700. Credit report fee, we're putting 120. That technically could be a little bit higher, but I think 120 will cut it. Tax cert, flood cert, mirrors, registration fees, that's all from the bank itself, whatever bank we decide to choose. This might be a little high too, but again, better to be high than low. Every bank's a little bit different. Home buyer course, you guys aren't doing a loan where you're going to need to take those home buyer courses. Employment verifications. I don't know if you guys' HR department will complete the verification for us when we try and call them to do it, or if they'll require us to use a third-party vendor like the Work Number. If they do, they charge us So I'm just including a verification of employment. If there is no fee, because they don't charge us, then this will be 0. Title fees. All right. I don't know what title company you're going to. Every title company has different fees. I just picked a title company, put in the loan amount, and they gave me these fees. It could be higher, it could be lower, but that's an estimation. I think it's probably about $500 too high, but title charges whatever they charge. And title, what they do is they like how I said, if they make sure every single cent is where it needs to be. So if I charge you if I'm saying I'm charging you $120 for a credit report fee, then what title says, okay, well, Ruben, since you can't make any money on that fee, send us the invoice from the credit report company telling us how much they charged you. So I send them the invoice, and I give it to title. They verify to make sure it's exactly to the cent so that the title credit report can be paid. And that's how it is with the appraisal. The appraisal, same exact thing, and every single fee in here. All right. So title fees, I think I'm overestimating by about $500. Prepaids. Let's talk about that. Right now, I got 15 days worth of interest. So let me try and do my best to explain how this works. So for mortgages, you pay mortgages in the rear. Like if you're gonna pay rent, you pay for it up front, right? You pay for the mortgage today, and then you pay rent today and you live in it for the next 30 days. Then you pay rent again, you live in it for the next 30 days. It's opposite for mortgage. For mortgage, you live in it for 30 days, and then you pay the mortgage payment for the 30 days you just lived in it. Then you live in it for another 30 days, and then you pay mortgage and you back pay. So it's completely different. But let's just say we close on the house today, July 2nd. Well, we can't make partial mortgage payments. It's got to be a whole, complete mortgage. So what you do is what the banks do is that for every day that you live in that house, on the very first month you move in, since we can't break up mortgage payments, it's got to be a complete mortgage payment from day one. They'll say, hey, for every day that you live in for that first month, you gotta pay an interest-only payment, not a full principal and interest payment, an interest-only payment for every single day you live in there, and you'll pay it at closing costs. It'll be included in your closing costs. So in that scenario, when that new month starts, you live in it for the month, and then you make the payment for the previous month. So now the problem is we don't know what day you're gonna move in. So let's go back, and for this scenario, every day that you live in there, it's gonna cost you $60.14. Now, this happens for everyone. People close loans every single day of the month. It just is what it is. And just to let you know, this is how closing costs can fluctuate. If you live in there, if you close on and you live in there and you have 15 days to live in there, at $60 a day, it's $900, right? But let's say you moved in today, which is the 2nd, which means you got 29 days. 29 days left in the month. So now you would add that much more, pretty much almost doubling it to $1,700 that needs to be paid at closing costs. Again, if the seller pays for it, not a big deal at all. But if you're paying for it, you're going to feel it a little bit. Let's say you close at the end of the month and you only need 2 days to live in there. Well, now it goes from $1,700 down to $120. A big fluctuation. I don't know what day you're going to move in. I just put 15 days and take it from there. Homeowners insurance. For homeowners insurance, they don't do partial payments. They take it all in full. So at closing, they want 12 months of that mortgage insurance up front. I don't know how much your mortgage insurance is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be $100, $125, $150, $175. I don't know. So I'm estimating $100 times 12 months, so they have the full amount to pay it in full for the first year. And then what they do is they collect an additional 3 months of homeowners insurance, because there's a good chance that after your first year, homeowners insurance could go up. And they didn't collect for that. We don't collect for that. We only collect for what is owed right now. So let me back up. I should have said after you pay the 12 months up front at closing, every mortgage payment, you're going to pay 1/12 of the homeowner's insurance for the next year. So the payment for $1,500 or $1,800 is broken up into 12 different payments. You collect that with every mortgage payment, and at the end of the year, they take all those mortgage payments that you had saved up and they pay for the following year up front. But sometimes the mortgage insurance might go up and you didn't collect for that or account for that. That's why all banks collect 2 or 3 months up front, and they'll take from this pile over here and help make the difference if you are short, because you don't find out what the premium is until about 3 months prior to it being paid, and when it gets paid, it has to be paid in full. Title will take care of all that for you. Property taxes, I don't know how much your property taxes are going to be. I just put 6 months of property taxes at $175. If you find a house that you want, you can look up the property taxes and you can find out what it would be. I don't know what it is. We're just estimating that, and that's about $1,000. All right, homeowners or HOA. If you decide, now obviously not all houses or neighborhoods have HOAs, but if you do decide to get an HOA, there's also transfer fees, there's rec fees, there's a bunch of different fees. Sometimes the HOA is over $1,000 just to get it into your name. Sometimes it's $200. Okay, I'm estimating a realistic $600 transfer fee. Sometimes they'll break that down and call 200 of it transfer, 200 of it capital, 200 reserve, whatever. But just know we're overestimating here, or maybe not overestimating. You never know. So all these fees on the left, I've bundled them all on the right here, so you can add it up. I don't believe closing costs are going to be that high, 10 grand. I believe closing costs are going to be roughly anywhere between 6,500 and 8 grand. I think, but account for the 10. Just account for it so you know that if it's high, because HOA is $1,500, but you love the house and it's a one-time cost, so it's worth it. Just account and be ready for the worst case scenario so that if it's anything better, then you're good. So that's closing costs. Now, let's talk about the loan. Okay? So here we got a purchase price. You asked for a purchase price of $365. And that's fine. You qualify for way more than that. You qualify for up to $540,000. But whatever your purchase price is, the down payment is 3.5% of the purchase price. So in this scenario, do I need to make this bigger? That probably helps, right? Oh, hold on. You can't even see it. I'm sorry. Okay, so purchase price $365,000. 3.5% down is the down payment that's required. In this scenario, it's $12,000. So that gives you what you call a base loan amount of $352 to $352,000 and some change, right? Now, for FHA loans, the reason why the interest rates are so much lower than conventional is because they charge what you call upfront mortgage insurance on all their loans. Can't get around it. It gets done no matter what every time you do an FHA loan. And that is what you call, that is the cost of 1.75% of the loan amount. And that equals $6,163. Now, the good thing about this is the interest, this gets rolled into the loan. So you take the base loan amount after 3.5%, you add in the upfront mortgage insurance, and you get your total FHA loan amount. Okay? But it's worth it because the interest rate is so much lower than your conventional. And Christopher, your FICO mortgage score was in, I believe, 660 something. So it's a lot lower than, I bet your credit score is probably way above 700, but the mortgage FICO score was 660. So you almost have to go FHA because the conventional rates would be in the 7s. But what that does is you get roughly a much better interest rate of 6.125, probably, hopefully lower, but I don't want to overpromise. And down here, you got the calculator, okay? So if you want to change this, this is the mortgage payment. Let's say you change it to $400,000. Whoops, I'm sorry. I'm working off of 2 different screens here. You change it to $400,000, everything changes. Mortgage payment, everything. If you decide to go to 450,000, you can look at this mortgage payment right here. So you guys will get a very accurate number as to how this works. But you wanted 365, so that's what I put. Now listen, here you got homeowners insurance, you got taxes. If you want to change the taxes, you can change the taxes right here. If you're good at Excel, the taxes are actually right here. If I change this number, it'll change this number in the front. But if you change it right here, it'll do it automatically as well. But if you find the house and you're like, okay, the house, whoops, that's 300, that's 3 million. Let's say the house is 355, and then you want to change the taxes to whatever it is, you can change that and you can do that. So you can get an accurate mortgage payment. And then obviously right here, HOA, let's say it's $80 HOA, right? It changes everything. So you guys will have the option to try and make this, to try and have a good idea what your mortgage payment should look like. With that being said, you can go up as high as $3,884. I know you don't want to do that, but I also want you to know that if you find a house that is phenomenal and it's $425,000, it fits all you need, you guys will never move, I don't want you to not do that. You guys can do that. Just find out what your down payment is going to be. $425. Down payment's $14,500. Closing costs, etc. Then you got to worry about closing costs, and you can work with Hector with that. So here's your accurate mortgage statement or mortgage payment. It's an estimate, but it's pretty accurate. And then closing costs, as you see, 10,000 over here, 10,064 over there. That matches. So closing costs plus down payment equals the amount that you need to come to closing with. Again, sometimes in a lot of cases, there's a good chance that the sellers will help you out with closing costs. Not in all cases, but it is happening very frequently, especially for people who need to sell. All right, I hope I explained everything to you. Please review it. Give me a call if you have any questions. Again, I can't express how great you guys are doing. You guys keep doing what you're doing. I think right now is probably the best time of the year to buy. And if you have questions, I already said it, give me a call.